for watching. All of you ladies, I want to take a moment to just invite you to my special women's event called Icing. It's coming up October 24th and 25th in Fort Worth, Texas at the Fort Worth Convention Center. Now ladies, you need to register for this free event. Register on my website, terri.com, and get this. To the lady who brings the most friends, the most women, you will receive $1,000 right there at the Icing event. We're gonna present you with a massive check, $1,000, and you can cash it. So, not only will you have fun, will you and your friends get motivated to go after your goals and achieve the dreams that are in your heart, but you could go home with $1,000. So, hurry up and register at terri.com, and remember, it's a free event. I can't wait to see you. Oh yes, and we're gonna have a book signing. I can't wait to hug you, shake your hand, and just motivate you. So, I'll see you at Icing. Also, if you're not receiving our free magazine, you can subscribe at terri.com, and of course the magazine is called The Routine, and we can send it to you digitally on your iPad, or you can get it in the mail and actually read it. So if you think that would be a blessing, then subscribe. It's absolutely free. Now, speaking of routine, I want to talk to you today about your routine. What are you doing day in and day out that's going to lead you closer to the goals that you've set in your life? You know, people are rewarded in public for what they practice in private. You've probably heard that phrase, that champions don't become champions in the ring, they're merely recognized there. That's because the hard work takes place behind the scenes with nobody watching. You know, you think about the story of David and how he killed Goliath. And everybody praises, you know, that moment, and wow, he's a hero, he killed Goliath. But what people didn't see was he killed a lion and he killed a bear in private with nobody watching, but that prepared him to kill a giant in public with everybody watching. Well, people are rewarded in public for what they practice in private. Now, most of you who follow my ministry or you've read any of my books, I'm sure you've heard this phrase before. And it's how my life began to change back in 2002 when I heard John Maxwell say, if I could come to your house and watch you for 24 hours, I could tell whether or not you're going to be a success or a failure. Now, a lot of people think, well, my goodness, why would you make such a bold claim? But he said, just by observing you, he said, you pick the day, but let me watch you from the moment you wake up until you go to bed. He said, by observing your daily routine, I could tell in what direction your life is headed. Well, that statement is what inspired me to start making a few small changes in what I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every day of the week. And so I made a few small changes that I still do to this day, 12 years later. Well, how would you answer a question like that? If I said, you know, I don't want to hear your speech, I don't want to watch your presentation, I just want to watch you for one day. But I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to show up your house and just kind of be in the background and watch your daily routine. What would I see? Well, you can make a few small changes. In fact, you think about people like, I was reading a story about Michael Jordan. You know, he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest basketball players ever in history. And Tony Robbins had a chance to interview him, and he just said at the peak of his career, he said, Michael, what is it that sets you apart? He said, is it God-given talent? Is it natural ability, skill? What is it? And Michael said, you know, I do have a lot of natural ability, I do have a lot of talent, and I work really hard. He said, but it's my routine. He said, I demand more out of myself every day because I'm not competing with anybody else, I'm competing with me. He has a routine. Well, you think about people like, you know, Tiger Woods. Yeah, Tiger Woods. You know, his vision is to be the greatest golfer who ever lived. But you know what? He backs it up with a routine. See, you can't have a vision without a routine to back it up. Interesting thing about Tiger Woods is that, you know, he was the greatest golfer already, and then he changed his golf swing. You don't change your golf swing when you're already the best. Then he started lifting weights. Golfers don't lift weights, but Tiger changed his routine and he actually started improving. Now other golfers are modeling his routine. Well, you think about U.S. Olympic swimmer, Michael Phelps. That's disgusting, but here's the point. Michael Phelps, you know, he had 6 gold medals under his belt. He's going in for the 7th medal. And his competitor's right there against him, but what is it that caused him to push himself beyond his competitor? He ended up winning by 1/100th of a second, and he won the 7th gold medal. But what was it that caused him to push himself so hard? It was his routine. You know, if you listen to anything when you're watching the Olympics and you hear the kind of workouts that swimmers do, their workouts are unbelievable. But Michael Phelps did 2 and 3 of those workouts every day. People said it wasn't humanly possible, but Michael said, I have a standard and I have a routine. He said, I have rituals to back it up. Well, that's what it's going to take in your life. Not necessarily Olympic-sized dreams like that, unless you do have that dream, but you've got to have a routine to back it up. Now, I thought this was pretty interesting. I was reading something, it was in Entrepreneur magazine, and it was on the habits of the wealthiest people in the world. Now, I'm not saying that this is how you define wealth or this is how you define poor. I'm just saying I was reading an article from Entrepreneur magazine, and listen to this. It was habits of the wealthiest people in the world. And it said, how many of them wake up 3 or more hours before they go to work? 44% of the wealthy and 3% of the poor. What about listening to audiobooks during their commute? 63% of the wealthy and 5% of the poor. How many read for 30 minutes or more every day? 88% of the wealthy, 2% of the poor. How many exercise 4 days a week? 76% of the wealthy and 23% of the poor. What about watch reality TV? 7% of the wealthy, 78% of the poor. And then how many believe good habits create opportunity? 84% of the wealthy and 4% of the poor. Your habits do create opportunity. Change your habits, you can change your life. I'm absolutely convinced of that. So I want to challenge you. Think of one thing you could do every day. Just one thing, start with one. If it's watching a podcast, then watch the podcast for 7 or 8 minutes every day. Do something every day that's going to lead you closer to your dream. If you're enjoying the podcast, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter so I can keep you motivated to go after your dreams. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.